Welcome to Mr. Bronze's YouTube channel. We're going to talk today about evolution, and I'm going to move forward in our understanding of it. I threw this little diagram up for a few of you, you know who you are. And also, if it appears on the YouTube screen, maybe I'll get a few more views and maybe can monetize the video. It's actually my third time recording this video. So it's been 6 minutes and 6.5 minutes, so it shouldn't take too long of an investment for you. Alright, so evolution's a pretty big component of the course and what we're going to be talking about. So what is evolution? Hopefully you already have an understanding of it. It is just gradual change of species over time. But the bigger component of it, and what brought Darwin fame, was the mechanism that he thought of, which is natural selection. Natural selection is the most important aspect, the primary component when talking about evolution is natural selection. Natural selection is often reduced to survival of the fittest. You'll hear that phrase quite a bit, but it's not quite that. It's a little bit more than that, a little bit more detail than that. So what is natural selection? How does it work? What is it? One I like is the differential success of an organism's ability to survive and reproduce. So you're competing. There's that competition, right, the survival of the fittest, but there's competition for limited resources, which results in different organisms surviving. And it's those traits that they have and their ability to survive with those traits and then reproduce and pass those traits on that leads to favoring of one trait over another, and ultimately over a long period of time possibly a huge change, new organism, species of some kind. So that's natural selection. I did a Google search just to get some examples for you, some pictures that I have and I'm not drawing, but it's one I've mentioned a number of times. Previous videos that got deleted. We have our crows or ravens eating the green beetles, and you have the orange brownish beetle remaining. It appears that these ravens are eating just the green ones, and over time, if left to the ravens, you're just going to have the orange ones left, or a significantly reduced green beetle population. Found this one was kind of pretty good example. A little overly dramatic, but the pink lions and the brown lions. You have the pink ones, but they're not surviving. You have the brown ones, so they can blend in more with their environment. But really, what's going to eat the lion, right? The most famous one is the finch and the beaks of the finch on the islands of Galapagos that Darwin went to. You have these thicker beaks, you find them on islands with the tougher, thick-walled seeds that are hard to crack open. You've got these stronger beaks. If you have a thin beak in those islands, you're not going to be able to open the seed, therefore you're not going to get food, therefore you die, therefore your trait does not get passed on, and you don't exist on an island anymore. Conversely, you have finches with smaller beaks on the smaller islands that are more suited and able to eat some of the tinier seeds. Get into those, and the ones with the tougher, larger beaks aren't able to survive there. And you see those lacking in those islands. And another example I would give in class or whatnot is rabbits. You have a white and a brown rabbit maybe, and have a heavy snowstorm, prolonged snowstorm, and you're going to end up with the white furred ones blending in with the snow and being the brown ones are going to be eaten by the predators. You come back, there's a lot of snow on the ground for a while, and you're not going to see many brown ones. That allele and the frequency of that allele will have decreased. And we're going to hear that phrase over the course of this unit a little bit. Alleles and the frequency of alleles. If you remember from our genetics unit, allele is just one aspect of a gene, one type of a gene. Anyway, natural selection does act on phenotype and only phenotype, which is if you remember from genetics, the physical manifestation of the alleles. It's what it looks like, right? What is the physical aspect of these traits? And with natural selection, as the environment changes, some alleles, some traits will be favored over other traits. Will help them survive, get food better, maybe have shelter, help them reproduce more. These phenotypes are going to increase in the population. Those that don't help them will decrease in the population. That's where you get the frequency of the alleles. The frequency is kind of a percentage, and the allele is the percentage of the allele in the population, which we'll get to later in another unit. But for now, be aware it's out there. With phenotype and the physical manifestation, in order for natural selection to even take place, evolution to take place, you need to have genetic variation. You need these multiple alleles for a gene. Otherwise, if everything's the same, there's nothing to select. If everything's the same, there's no one trait better than another one. The environment changes, the one trait's not going to help or be an advantage for everything's the same. It just doesn't work. And really, the final thought here is how we get these genetic variation, how you get phenotypes. It's kind of an aspect of last unit. It goes back to the DNA and mutation. Right? You mutate the DNA, you change the DNA, you change the RNA, you change the protein, change the phenotype. Or the proteins are what make us different, and that's all due to the difference in the DNA. So you introduce a new mutation, you can potentially introduce a new trait. So that's evolution and natural selection. A real brief aspect of it. Natural selection is the two big aspects there are survival and reproduction. Does the trait help it to survive, pass on the genes? If yes, then it continues. If no, it does not. Possibly, ultimately leads to the species extinction. Anyway, that's a wrap. Don't forget to subscribe. Keep in mind, get a million views. We get out there, we get extra credit. So stay strong, stay smart, subscribe.